Hello Blender fans and welcome to this Blender TC tutorial. Please subscribe. In today's tutorial we'll be making this cocktail glass. Let's begin. In today's Blender tutorial, as I said, I will be making the cocktail glass. I'll be making this from a cube. And the cube is here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into edit mode by pressing the tab key, and then I'm going to split this into three. I'm going to select the top line by pressing Alt and left click, and then I'm going to press the one key and scale this down to get the top of my glass. I'm going to press the Alt key. Just pressing one will select, but if you press the Alt key it selects the whole loop round it, and scale this down. And I'm going to move it down in the Z direction, so G, Z, just to make the base, and Control R. Oops, sorry, I didn't want to Control R, so I'm going to undo that by pressing Control and Z till it vanishes. And press the Alt key, select the line in the middle, and scale this down. And I'm getting something that looks a bit like a cocktail glass, and I'm just going to scale this down. Selecting the base with base select, I'm going to go scale that down slightly so it's more shaped like a cocktail glass. Scale it up maybe a little bit. I to insert and scale down, and now I'm just going to move that G and Z, move it up in the up direction to make the base of my glass. I'm then going to select the top, press the I key to insert even, select the edge, and then I again, and S to scale, and then G and Z, and move it down so it actually goes into the glass. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide this by 3 on that side, subdivide that by 3 on that side, and on this I'm going to subdivide that by 3. I'm doing that by just adding my wheel, and I want the actual glass to be quite sharp at the top, so I'm going to put a loop there, GG, move it up to there, and I want it to be a gentle slope down here, so what I'm going to do is Control R, GG to move it in itself and put it to there. The next thing that we'll do is we'll add a modifier, add the modifier, and it's a Subdivision surface modifier. As you can see now, that has made a glass shape like a cocktail glass. If I increase this to 3, you'll see it'll get rounder, and then right click to add smooth shader, select the glass and do it, add smooth shader, and as you can see we've now made a quick cocktail glass, and we apply the settings there. That's quite high poly, but we can make it lower quite simply if we wish, which I often do by selecting edges. If we go up to here and go into tools, we go auto merge, click this auto merge, because if we don't want the actual edges we can just go GG and just GG, and this reduces the poly count so you can make low poly models but still, see, Control Z there, GG, GG. So now as you can see it's got 8,000 faces, 4,000 faces there, but if I were to actually select this is how people actually make things low poly, GG, GG, Z, GG moves things in itself, so GG, 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 and you can just keep getting rid of these. With the auto merge, it just merges the faces. I think that if I didn't subdivide it by 3, then that would have we could have actually avoided all this these problems. But sometimes you want to make it an actual high definition mesh, say in a sculpt or something, and then later on get rid of some of the topology. And this is just one of the ways you can do it. So you can actually add your textures high poly and high definition, and then reduce the actual, for a game engine, just reduce them every time I'm moving this down. It's dropping by about 36, or is it 64? I can't remember, but no, it'll be 32, won't it, because it's to that. And as you can see, I mean, especially underneath the base here, we don't need this detail. Nobody's ever going to see it, you know, so I just get rid of it. You get the idea. I could just keep going on forever doing this, but I'm just going to leave it there, because the next thing I'm going to actually add is I'm going to add an HDR image. Let's just look at this glass through the actual camera. It looks quite alright. We just need to add a surface, which is add a material down here. New material, and the new material shall be we'll make it into a glass material. So the glass material, I'm going to make it slightly blue. Next thing I'm going to do is go into viewport shading, which is there. As you can see, it's not very opaque or see-through or anything. I'll just add a UV sphere in the background, just so we can actually see, look through it. G, just add in the UV sphere so we can actually just see through it when it does become see-through and is a glass. So right, click on the glass again. Next thing we're going to do is it needs to be reflective. So I'm going to take the metal right up to the top. I take the roughness down to 0. As you can see, that's one of the actual default shaders in viewport shading, and this will give you an idea what it'll look like in a full render later on. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the transmission, increase this up to the top, and to make the glass itself, what you need to do is go into the actual settings down the bottom, and we select alpha blend and alpha clip, and the last thing we do is actually reduce the alpha, and that makes it into the see-through glass it is. I'll just select the actual balls over there, so you can actually see that it is a glass. And that's it. Simply, we've made a glass object, a cocktail glass. I'll just move it up into the air, GZ, just to move it to the base. And we'll just move the camera up slightly, so GZ, fetch it back into the middle. Add the plane, just so the glass is actually sat on something. F12. As you can see, we've got see-through glass and a cube, but it's not got very much reflection. The way you add reflection simply is, I personally just add HDR images, so let's just do that now. So oopsie daisy, sorry, go into the world, get rid of the world, sorry, no, this needs to say background, and this here is an environmental texture. So I've selected our environmental texture. There's a site called HDR Heaven where you can download HDR images. There's lots of free ones on this, and simply I'm going to add in a sky of some kind into this one. Then if I render that, as you can see, we've got a glass on the table and it's reflecting the sky above it. Quite simple, very simple actually. Just scale that down like that. F12. The only thing it doesn't seem to be doing is actually creating any shadow, so let me just go into the light itself. I'm going to turn that into, the light. As you can see, it's a point light, so there's no shadows from it, so I'm going to change that into a sunlight. Press F12 and take its strength down to something small, so F12. As you can see, the alpha clip is the light's just passing straight through the glass, so there's next to no shadow. So you have to keep messing about with these settings just to actually there we are. And then the glass has got a shadow, and that's just because I'm changing the alpha there to make it less see-through, so it will cast a shadow. Right, so there you have it, simple way of making a glass. Please subscribe.